Welcome to 5 Arts Friday. Last week we learned how to bind off knitwise, and this week we're learning to bind off purlwise. It's very similar, but I just wanted to separate the two because the stocking pattern that I wrote called Chunky Stocking actually has a purlwise bind off, so I want to talk about that. But before we start, I want to talk about this hat, which I love.
Yeah, I love it too.
This is made out of, this is a case for when this is one of those times when I bought one skein of yarn, which isn't enough for more than just pretty much a hat. I think this is called Rasta, and they have really cool, Vogue knitting magazine made a whole dress out of this, and it was so beautiful, and I still want to make that dress, but...
What kind of yarn is this?
It's wool. I think it might even be superwash, but it's dyed in this really cool colorway. All the Rastas dyed really cool. But this is one of those times where I didn't gauge first, so do you know what a gauge is? A gauge is when you knit a little swatch and then you measure it so that you know that you have enough yarn, that you have the right needles, so that you make the right size. Because there's nothing worse than knitting an entire sweater or a hat or whatever only to find it doesn't fit you because you didn't follow the gauge. And so I knit this hat fully intending on it being for me. And I ran out of yarn, so, and then it didn't fit me. But the good thing about my family is I have 3 other different size girls. So I tried it on the big, didn't fit her. Tried it on you. Does it fit you?
I don't think so.
Not comfortably. But it did fit the little. So I made her wear it last winter. And it looked so cute on her. So the lesson here is always gauge before you knit. Okay, enjoy binding off. See you next time. Okay, some of you have been asking me for tutorials on parts of the pattern for the stocking that I've designed. And the end of the stocking requires a purlwise bind off. So I thought I would show you how to bind off purlwise. Binding off purlwise is pretty much identical to knitwise, only you do purling. So when you bind off purlwise, you purl 2. Here's 1 and 2. And just like with a knitwise bind off, you have these 2 partners here, and you're going to slip one over the other. And you have to make sure that it's not too tight. I actually feel like I'm already too tight, so I'm going to make this stitch a little bit looser. And now you need another pair to do that slide off, so you purl. Pull it out a little bit so it's a little loose there. And then you pull the first stitch you made, or the second on the needle, over the first one and pull it off. And it looks a little loose, but you'll be glad at the end because it will make it more stretchy. So now we need another one. So we purl over here to make 2. Here's our 2. And then we pull 1 over the other. There we go. Let's keep going. Great, here's your pair. Pull 1 over the other. We need another purl. See what's happening here? It's binding off. So we're going to pull this one over this one. Again. And we have 1 more stitch on here and 1 more stitch on here, so we're going to purl that last one, pull the one over the other, but now we're left with 1 stitch and no stitches over here. Don't panic, everything's going to be okay. So you're going to take this working yarn and you're going to snip it, and then you're going to pull this through your stitch. And that is the final step. And see, I still have a tendency, you can see I still have a tendency to bind off too tightly because look how much this will stretch and look how much this one will. Now there are different bind offs that are stretchier. There's a twist bind off that's pretty cool that you can find in other tutorials, and that twisty one is actually pretty stretchy like this. And it just depends on what you're making. Like, it might not be a big deal if it's a little tight. it might be a huge deal. So you just have to decide what bind off you need. For this stocking, it's not a big deal at all if it's stretchy. It's actually nice that it's a little bit firm down there. So that's how you do the Purlwise bind off for the chunky stocking. And then you can check out my other videos on how to weave in these ends.